Alright, welcome to the channel, and today we'll be talking about the ZMF Caldera in comparison to my ZMF VC and my ZMF VO. And I'm not going to go into super great detail about build and all other fun stuff, just as a quick comparison of these three headphones. And in reality, I'm going to probably smash the VO and VC together in the comparison, going back and forth, because I think that they're close enough to where they resemble each other well enough and close enough that by giving a comparison to one or the other, it's more or less the same. The biggest differences, I'd say, is that the VC, the closed back Verite, is a little bit more V-shaped, and it has this little slightly more 3D nature to it for some reason, and it's a little more V-shaped and a little more energy than the VO. But outside of that, they're more or less very similar, if not very close to being on the same page as far as sound quality and what have you. And anyway, so the Caldera was sent out by ZMF for a demo, and it's still here on demo, so that's going back. They aren't asking me to say or do any of these videos, and all they ask is my honest opinion in regards to these headphones. So let's dive right into the comparison of these three headphones. Alright, so Caldera, we've already talked about this headphone over the past few videos. This is the kind of my final video regarding the comparisons of the Caldera to the other ZMFs and other headphones at this point. But the Caldera, fantastic headphone, very balanced, has tons of image, tons of detail, and has this nice slam to it in the low end. The mids are not super rich, but they're definitely right there, and they sound excellent. And same with the highs, they have this really nice shimmer to them without being overdone. Not quite like a lot of energy to them, similar to, say, what the Verite Open is or the Verite Closed. The Verite Open in comparison and the Verite Closed in comparison to the Caldera is definitively more V-shaped. Imaging and detail isn't as good. Mids are definitely more recessed and not as forward. I would say there's a lot more energy though in the VC and the VO, and that the stage for me feels wider and more of that 3D factor kicks in. But the Caldera as well is quite nice though. With stage, it's just not as, in my opinion, not as 3D and or as wide as the VC and the VO. So next part about these in comparison, a lot of like acoustic and classical stuff. I've really been digging on the Caldera due to the imaging and the detail and the way it presents. It really can, you can pick out all the little parts of, like, say, a really well mastered acoustic track. Or I've been listening to a lot of Jerry Goldsmith stuff, and that was in some big orchestral, like, movie soundtrack type stuff, and that's been really lovely with it. And it gives a nice thump to the low end, but the mid range is still nice and rich, and the highs have this nice shimmer to them and sparkle without, like I said, being overdone. And then switching over to, say, the Verite Closed or the Verite Open, you definitely get a little bit of that recessed mid-range. I don't know, like, it feels more energetic to me. I feel more engaging, I guess. Kind of big orchestral stuff that's really fantastic, big swings and what have you, and you get this really energetic, really exciting listen with these. The Verite Open and the Verite Closed, that is. They both are fantastic in those, but what I really found myself really gravitating with the VO and VC is a lot more hip-hop, a lot more EDM, a lot more pop, a lot more of the kind of other genres. Not that the Caldera isn't fantastic with those, because it really is, actually. And in fact, all three are very, very well done across all the genres I listen to, and I listen to a lot of genres. Like, I have ADHD, and it shows in my music collection and how I listen to music. I tend to put it on random and let it just fly. And the Verite Opens and the VCs for me are more of that. I want to really engage with the music. I want to just have I want to get my blood pumping. I want to get going. I want to get excited. I want to, I want something a little more energy. I want to get that really big punch in the low end, and then I want the highs to kind of like really engage and be super sparkly. And the VC and VO can push towards that a little bit too much in the treble spark, a little bit too much in that shimmer, and they definitely flirt that line, and sometimes will go over depending on the track. Whereas the Caldera is definitely a more even keeled and a little more user friendly in regards to those things. And so, as an all-arounder, I'd say the Caldera is definitively the better of the three in that regards. If you don't want to have too many different, like, swings one way or the other, or you're not into V-shaped stuff. If you like bass, I would definitely say the Calderas are great, and they are, I mean, beyond great. But in comparison to the VO and VC, I'd say that the VC is slight edge for the low end and the bass, but it also has a little bit more of a treble peak, I'd say, or treble shimmer or sparkle. The VO would be kind of like splitting the difference between the two. The low end isn't quite as punchy, but it's almost there. The highs aren't quite as, you know, sparkly as the or as quite as peaked as the VC. Take that for what it is. Going into the next portion of this, I guess, would be my kind of final thoughts and or who are these headphones kind of for. And I think if you're already looking at these headphones, you already have a like or a love for ZMF, or an idea that you there's something that drew you to them. And all three of these have a place. Like, I personally think, for me personally, that they all have a place in my lineup. I love all three of them. They all have different ways that I like to engage with the music and the tracks I like to listen to. It's amazing how you can go from each of his headphones and really get basically a similar sound seasoning or profile to some of like the ZMF sound, but they each present in such a unique way that it's actually worth hearing each of them individually and back to back in comparisons too, because you can really find one headphone that just is perfect for you. And like, there's plenty of people that I know that dislike the VC or dislike the VO, but they love the Atours or the Atour Classics or the Atriums over them. Or not many people have heard the Caldera yet, but I mean, the Caldera, I think personally, will be a lot of people's top of the line headphone. I think the Caldera is a real winner in that range. Really kind of a do-all, jack of all trades, and does it exceptionally well in all of the different genres and in all the different frequency ranges, and just how it presents, it sounds really lovely. Whereas I think that a lot of his other headphones, I've noticed they all have some way, shape, or form. They kind of skew a little bit more into different genres, just a little bit more than the other ones do, or kind of thing, or you have a different presentation slightly. I'd say the VO and VC are more for your if you want energy, if you want that V shape, if you want a little more of that punchiness, dynamics, and a little more energy across the board. The mid-range is a little bit sucked out, but not in a horrible way. Just it's fine. Like, it definitely isn't as forward as, say, the Atriums, the Caldera, and definitely not as forward as, say, the Atours or the Atour Classics. But they're good. They sound rich. They sound nice. They sound lovely. And it's for people that want maybe listen mostly to hip hop or mostly to EDM or pop or something along those ranges of audio, right? Or audio of those music genres. The Caldera is basically, in my opinion, the jack of all, and is a master. Like, it's just a step above a lot of other headphones in the range that I've listened to across the board. And it's a lovely headphone, whereas the VO-VC, I would say, are more of your V-shape. They're like, kind of, to me, the VO-VC are the masters of the V-shape. Like, they are what I want to listen to when I want V-shaped. They are what I want to listen to when I want energy and want to be engaged, and I want to kind of get the blood flowing and going. And the Caldera is more of that. You really get all the details, you get all the imaging, you get this, you can get really immersed. Like, you get immersed with the Caldera. Like, they disappear when you're listening. Like, you can get this, imaging, and the way it presents, you can almost like close your eyes and really properly feel like you're in the space listening to an orchestra or a band or what have you. And it's really lovely how they present that way. Whereas with the VO-VC, you can get that same thing, but it's just way more V-shaped, way more energy, way more like punch and dynamics, and it's just a fun duo, these VO-VCs here. So with that, I think that kind of solidifies my thoughts on the Caldera and the comparisons that we've been doing here. And I think that the Caldera is a proper winner, and it's the sound and everything with this headphone is amazing. I really, really dig on it. All right, so the Caldera VO. Fantastic, love both of them. I think they both have a place in anyone's stable or lineup of headphones that they want to have. They are expensive, both of them are. That being said, if you have the funds for that, I highly recommend at least giving them a listen, because, and I'm talking both both styles, the Vero VC and also the Caldera. There's some really lovely sound that these present, and they really help you engage with the music that you want to listen to. And I found that the Caldera is really great in a kind of jack of all, whereas the Vero VCs tend to be a little bit more in that V-shaped, a little more of the pop, hip hop, R&B, a little more engagement, more of that, you know, lower end and more sparkle. But neither here nor there. They're all fantastic, and they all have a place. And I think that they all have unique enough signatures that you can have each of Zach's headphones and be totally stoked and happy with it. So that being said, thank you for coming by and joining this chat with me in comparison, and I'll catch everyone on the next one. Hope you all enjoy the rest of your morning, afternoon, evening. Cheers. Alright, welcome to the channel, and today we'll be talking about... put that on silent. Awkward.